This week we're talking about in-game ads, Netflix, Zoink ScoobyDoo, Bernie Sanders, Robert Mueller, and why Disney fucking sucks. This is the Geeky Amreeki Weekly News Roundup. So the stuff that stood out to me in this week's entertainment news is pretty eclectic. So let's get into it right now. Westball, the filmmaker behind the Maze Runner trilogy, which is a pretty cool set of films, announced that his highly anticipated film, Mouthguard, has been canceled. And this is just 2 weeks before it was supposed to go into production. The adaptation of David Peterson's comic of the same name was going to cost around $170 million. Ball announced the news on Twitter while giving a tour of a studio filled with sculptures, concept art, set miniatures, and a lot more. After seeing that, the sting of the cancellation really sunk in for me. But then he released a previs created with the Unreal Engine. And I gotta be honest, even though it's done in the Unreal Engine, the movie still looks fucking amazing. And this was just a demo. Weta was actually going to do the visuals for the film, which would have looked even better. Hell, as it looks right now with the Unreal Engine, I would have actually paid to go see a film based on this world. Ball had actually been trying to shop the project around to other studios before the announcement of the cancellation. You see, the project began at Fox, which of course was bought out by the corporate monster that is Disney. Now, I've said it a bunch of times and you guys have heard me say that the mergers that Disney are doing are bad for the film industry. And this is one of the first times that people are actually seeing proof of that. So it turns out Disney felt like the project was too big a risk for the money they would have to put into it. Now remember, this is the same shit company churning out one live action remake after one mind-numbingly unrealistic live action remake. This is also the same company that spent around $250 million in marketing alone for the release of Endgame and its pathetic money-hungry re-release so that they can take the record from Avatar for the highest grossing film of all time. Like I've said before, Disney's going to kill the chance for new IPs, creative and challenging films, and indies and more to be released in theaters. And if you go to Westball's Twitter account, you will notice that shortly after he posted that previs footage, it was taken down. Now, why do you think that is? You know it's because Disney loves its squeaky clean image that most of the surface level loving, never researching or thinking public believe to be spotless. So many people still think that Disney is this really great company that does so much for people. Sure, they put out fun movies and they put out things for kids, but they're also this huge corporate entity that just wants to make more and more money. Now, thankfully, a bunch of people had already downloaded and re-uploaded the Mouthguard footage. So no matter what Disney wanted, the footage is out there for people to see. And because of this, a lot of people are really hoping for a Deadpool miracle. But what I want to know is, how can something like the Emoji Movie be put out, but not something creative and beautifully done like this? And I feel really bad for Ball and his team, who put in some amazing work on what would have been a smash hit if Disney wasn't so stupid to cancel it. I know I would have paid money to go see this. Bernie Sanders, everyone's favorite Democratic socialist, has joined Twitch. Most outlets are reporting that he is the first to do it, but he isn't. Andrew Yang started a channel back in mid-2018. Twitch is a great place to get your message out to a large tech-savvy audience. It's also a platform that grants unprecedented access to people who choose to stream on it. So it's really a smart move by Sanders and Yang to join Twitch. The problem is they're both doing it wrong. Yang has absolutely nothing on his channel still at this time, and the account's almost a year old. Sanders' first two streams before and after the first Democratic debates actually had no Bernie Sanders in them. That's of course unless you count that pre-recorded video that he put up during the first stream. The rest of the two streams were run by 3 campaign staffers, one of which who actually flubbed expressing why she felt like being on Twitch was good. Another problem with the Sanders campaign stream is it's very formal and it's on a set that just doesn't feel like Twitch at all. Both Yang and Sanders just need to sit their ass in a gaming chair, throw on a headset, and just communicate with the chat. Let's be honest, that's what Twitch is about, and that's what the audience wants. No one smells bullshit better than Twitch, except for maybe Reddit, of course. When the people who stream on Twitch, or the fans who just like watching people stream, see something like this, they can smell bullshit from a mile away. These first 2 streams didn't feel like somebody who really just wants to communicate with others. It was kind of a bunch of generic, same old Bernie Sanders messages. Now, I love Bernie Sanders' message, but I want to see something more personal on Twitch. So until Yang or Sanders actually do a legit Twitch stream on their own talking to the chat, I don't think that they're actually on Twitch. It does not count. So Netflix announced that The Office is leaving its streaming service to go home to NBC as part of NBC Universal's new platform coming in 2021. Because everyone has to have a streaming service now, right? The Office has been a monster on Netflix since it started showing. It's almost 8% of all views on the service. Now that's a lot when you consider that Netflix is about 15% of all global internet usage. In 2018 alone, 52 billion minutes of The Office were streamed by subscribers. That's 289,000 years of The Office. That's 3,468,000 months and 105,555,556 days of The Office. Those are just insane numbers. Don't worry though, you have till January 2021 to binge watch the whole series again, or for the first time if you haven't seen it. Either way, I highly recommend that you do check it out because this is one of the best comedies ever made. Netflix actually took the time to tweet about it, all while throwing a fun dig at the copycat NBC service, saying our members can still binge watch the show to their heart's content ad-free until 2021. Now when they say ad-free, that's because NBC's service is allegedly going to have ads on it as well. Now I know myself, I would never pay to watch network shows, ABC, NBC, CBS, or Fox, as all are highly sanitized and made as safe as possible for casual viewers. The original content on Netflix and Amazon can do whatever they want in the shows with no kind of restrictions, and that's why I gladly pay for them. When it comes to network or cable channels, the only people doing anything different right now are FX and AMC, and it's been that way for a long time. They're constantly trying to stretch the rules and cater to actual grown-ups who want to see something of substance and that doesn't talk down to them. But back to The Office. Netflix knew this would happen eventually, and that's why they've been creating all of these great original shows and movies, which are the main reason I actually subscribe to the service. I don't subscribe to Netflix to watch The Office. I love The Office and I've seen the whole series a couple times, but never on Netflix. So as long as they keep putting out that sweet ass original content, myself and millions of others around the world are going to keep watching Netflix, period. So by now we all know who Robert Mueller is and the fact that he was investigating the whole Trump colluding with Russia issue for the elections. Well, when the report finally came out about a year and a half after the investigation started, most Americans only wanted to hear those juicy tidbits. After all, who in their right mind would want to read 450 pages of legal proceedings? Now, of course, a lot of people will actually want to read it and have read it because they want to see what happened straight from the horse's mouth, people who were under oath when they were testifying. But again, a lot of Americans don't want to read that, so that's why most people are still pretty ignorant to its legal and moral implications. That's why playwright Robert Schenkins adapted it into a stage show called The Investigation, a search for the truth in 10 acts. He basically wanted to dumb it down, make it simpler for people to understand, and make it interesting to watch. And to that end, they had a star-studded cast perform this one-night-only show. You had people like Mark Ruffalo, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Mark Hamill, Annette Bening, Kevin Kline, John Lithgow, Piper Perabo, Michael Shannon, Zachary Quinto, Sigourney Weaver, and more. The show and video were done in partnership with LawWorks, a bipartisan organization that seeks to educate the American public on our legal system. And it says something that nearly everyone involved in front of and behind the camera are award-winning talents. It got a ton of attention and is still available to watch online for those of you who want to know more about the show or, of course, the actual investigation. It's pretty interesting. It's only about 2 hours and it keeps you from having to read that 450-page report. But something that's interesting to me is the fact that the report is still number 4 on the Amazon best-selling list, and there's a 200-page graphic novel in the works that's supposed to release sometime next year. NBA 2K19 has been pissing everyone but the most devout 2K shills off since it released nearly a year ago. Right away, it sparked controversy with its card packs, aka loot boxes, my player campaign progression grind tied to its in-game currency called VC, and its in-your-face mobile game tactics like daily login rewards and even a chance to spin a wheel for in-game currency or sponsored gear for your player. After all, this game basically is one huge advertisement for a bunch of corporate entities. But I gotta be honest, I have not played a sports game in a long time because they've long since turned into a shameless, high-end mobile-style game cash grab that exploits kids and people with addictive personalities. The problem for every person like myself who boycotts this trash, there are shills who put up loot box or team pack unboxing videos where they spend thousands of dollars on this crap. And it works because these videos get millions and millions of views. Now all that does is show companies that they can keep up this shit because these whales, as they love to call them, the people who spend a lot of money on their microtransactions in games, whales will keep spending these large amounts of money to make bullshit content like this because they know it works on the people who play these games. It also gives impressionable viewers the idea that they can win big too, and keeps the vicious cycle of publishers milking consumers for every last dime going. But 2K19 outdid itself this week by including an in-game ad into their paid game. Now 2K19 isn't the first game to do in-game ads. I think that's Street Fighter 2 actually, but they are the first to do it so big and in your face. So during the loading screen for a game, you had to sit there and watch an ad for the FX show Snowfall. And what better way to cater to the kids playing your game than to show them an advertisement about what it's like in the drug game and how much money you can make selling crack. Even if the game was fully loaded, you had to sit there until the advertisement was finished. Of course, countless gaming YouTubers who trend surf like mad and thrive off of controversy, be it real or manufactured, jumped on the anger bandwagon pretty fast. Tons and tons of videos were put out straight away from these bastions of integrity who are just trying to defend the player. In their video, they talked about how 2K is despicable and deplorable for putting unskippable ads in their games and how they should be ashamed of themselves and how they're definitely going to have them in 2020 and this was just a way to test the waters. What almost none of them mentioned, of course, because they wanted to keep that controversy going or because they didn't know, since most of them are just recycling other people's news content or videos, is the fact that the ads actually are skippable. You can skip the ads in the game. They are not unskippable. All you have to do is disable the 2K TV in your game settings. Boom, no more ads in your goddamn game. But that wouldn't jive with the narrative that they were putting out. This is pretty typical on YouTube with gaming channels especially. Don't get me wrong, 2K games are definitely greedy and I'm not defending them or the ads at all. Especially because you can turn them off. So what if you can turn the ad off? People paid $60 for this game. They shouldn't have to go in and disable in-game ads. But I will say this, if you bought this game despite the dismal reviews and still play it despite its exploitative nature and its shitty grind, you signed on for this. There are very few shows that brought me joy as a kid like ScoobyDoo Where Are You did. Sure, it came out in 1969, but it steady played on TV through the 80s and still does on channels like Boomerang. Here it is 50 years later, and the music, the characters, the art style are still beloved. The story of a team of ghost-fighting, crime-solving kids led by a plucky Great Dane is timeless. I think it's pretty cool that Warner Brothers are putting out a 50th anniversary limited edition box set of the entire series. That's 15 hours of Scooby-Doo goodness to be exact. Not only are you getting the whole series, which is just awesome and it's still great to watch, you get this killer haunted house which would look kick-ass on any collector's shelf. You also get the Scooby-Doo encyclopedia and a Funko Pop keychain, all for $74 if you pre-order it on Amazon or $89 when it ships in September. Now I know this sounds like some type of a paid ad, but it's not. I'm not cool enough for people to give me paid advertisements yet. I'm just excited to watch these shows again, especially in that high-res Blu-ray goodness. So those are the 6 things that I found really interesting and disappointing in this week's entertainment news. If there's something interesting in entertainment news that I missed, let me know what it was in the comment section below, and I will see you guys next week for that Geeky Amreeki weekly news roundup.